What is up, guys? Rick Hackis here, and this is gameplay and some of my first impressions with No Man's Sky. Now, I've been playing this game for the last several hours. I've pretty much been playing it straight since it came out till now. It's about 3:30 a.m. and I'm gonna be honest with you guys, just want to get this commentary done before I go to sleep because I want this game to be fresh on my mind and I want to answer a lot of the main questions in kind of a first impressions basis about the game. Now, I really want to delve into the main question I think a lot of people have on their minds, which is, does this game kind of live up to what was promised? Does this game sort of live up to the hype? Now, I can't definitively answer that question yet. Again, I've only been playing for a few hours, so I can't definitively say, you know, this game 10 out of 10 IGN, best game ever, or, you know, it's trash and doesn't do anything right. I cannot say that, but I can sort of shed some light on these questions and kind of get the ball rolling in the direction of an answer. So that's what we're aiming to do today. Now, the game, you kind of start out, it's very interesting. You start out and the first thing you do is you need to repair your ship in order to access kind of the space traveling parts of the game. And it's very, very sort of crafting oriented. I would kind of compare it somewhat to Minecraft in the sense that you're going out, you're just collecting all of these different things. You're collecting iron, you're collecting carbon, you're collecting, you know, titanium, plutonium, all of these different elements, and you use those elements for different things. If you're using some of the isotopes like plutonium, that's used to charge your engines for your spaceship so you can go places. You have stuff like iron that's used to build things, and you have weapon parts. I'm going to get kind of a little bit into the crafting system a little bit later, but there's a lot of collecting, going out and collecting materials, using that materials to craft things. That's a huge part of the game. Now, as for the space exploration part, I know a lot of people are interested in this. You know, coming from a Destiny background, I mainly do Destiny. I love space exploration, and that's what really got me interested in No Man's Sky. Destiny in its past kind of, you know, when it was first coming out, somewhat said it was kind of a space exploration game. You were supposed to be able to explore all these planets, and there definitely was some very interesting places to go and things to see in Destiny, but it never really captured that full space exploration sort of genre. No Man's Sky does this a lot better because once you repair your ship off the start, holy crap, I was so surprised by how big this game is. And I know it's supposed to be big. Like, I know it was said, oh, there's billions of planets and they're all procedurally generated and that's all crazy, but it really surprised me. I hopped in my ship and I left the planet, and there was a nearby space station, and it surprised me how long it took to get there. Like, you have several different drives. Like, if you can go a normal speed with your spaceship, then you can boost, then you can do like this ion drive, which you go really fast. And even going with the ion drive, it took like a minute to get all the way, or more than a minute to get all the way to the space station. And that is just one part of this galaxy that I'm still in, the solar system. And I can go to all these different planets. Like, there is actually so much to this game in terms of just the size of it. Like, the size is absolutely insane. I don't even think you could explore a planet fully. Like, there's massive planets that have a lot of things to them. Now, these things to them are, again, kind of procedurally generated. They'll often repeat themselves, like there's different bases, but I'm still coming across new things, and I've explored several planets and explored even the same planet for almost an hour, exploring just the same planet, going to all these different things. And again, sometimes you'll find somewhat of the same thing. You'll find these little bases that they just have one little hut thing you can go in, and maybe there's an upgrade to your weapon or what have you. Then I found an entire spaceport where it actually took my ship and properly landed it on the spaceport when I was gonna land. And I was surprised with this because that had never happened before. I just landed beside where I wanted to go, and so that was really cool. And that was kind of, oh, there's still new things that I'm discovering in the game, and that is definitely a good thing. In terms of animals, I tweeted out a picture of this massive beast animal, like, 7 times as tall as I was. And that was really cool because you have this. I encountered this weird scorpion kind of animal. Well, actually not really scorpion, a praying mantis sort of animal that actually had like an enemy symbol beside it. So this was a predatory animal that I'd have to avoid. And that I definitely don't come across very often. I wasn't paying attention to the fact that if you zoom in with the left trigger, you can start to identify and categorize these different animals. You can discover different flora and fauna, and that's really cool. And every planet I've been to, I have to give the game credit. Every planet I've been to, there's been different animals. Like, sometimes maybe a little bit of similarities, but there's been vastly different animals on each different planet, and that is super cool, and that really keeps things fresh. So the exploration part of this, that you can go out and explore the galaxy and find all these new things, that honestly looks to be true. That looks to be that this game has lived up to what it promised in terms of space exploration, and I know that is a huge part of why people are interested in this game. Again, the game is absolutely bloody massive. I've been to about 4 or 5 different planets so far. Each of them have been pretty different. They'll all possess pretty much the same resources, and they'll have somewhat similar of things there. I'm starting to notice somewhat of a pattern in certain things, but again, since everything is so procedurally generated and how massive it is, that's somewhat to be expected, and even then I am still discovering new things. And there's definitely pretty cool things in terms of, there was a mining facility that I had to blast my way into this mining facility with a gun, and you can change your blaster to different things. You can have the mining laser, or you can have an offensive attacking blaster. So I had to blast the doors open, and as I was chipping away at the door, it was making these enemies spawn and come in and try to kill me. Like, I was getting attacked by these drones as I would do more damage to the door, eventually bust my way through and got a bunch of loot. So that was pretty cool. And again, that was a new experience that I hadn't seen on other planets. So that is definitely pretty awesome. And there's aliens out there too. Like, there's not just a purely unintelligent flora and fauna. There is intelligent alien life forms. I came across one guy who gave me a new blaster. Like, he was like, hey, do you want to exchange your blaster for this new blaster? Now I have a new blaster. It's actually pretty sweet. Like, you have all these interactions. I've discovered, I think, about 6 different aliens so far, and there's a couple of different races, and you have these interactions with them, and they'll give you things, and you have different options to what to give them. And it's kind of funny how, not funny, it's kind of cool actually, how you interact with them and they give you a little story about what's going on, saying, one guy, for example, it described him as having trouble breathing, and that was really interesting. And then it gave me 3 options. Hey, do you want to give him money? Do you want to give him this? Do you want to give him that? And one of the options was, do you want to share oxygen? And, after reading the description of what is going on, and it's saying it looks like he has trouble breathing, I decided to give him the oxygen. And then you have this little scenario where, he thanks you, he looks relieved, and he gives you some credits. So that's pretty cool. Like, you kind of try to figure out what is going on, and then you try to apply those 3 different options, and you can presumably choose the wrong option. I went to one guy who was going off to war or something, and he was offering me his blaster, and I refused it because there's a bunch of security cameras around or something, and it said that my refusal, like my dissension, would be noted or something. So it's taking that into account when you have these different alien factions, because there isn't just one intelligent alien life form. There's several different kind of species and factions of these aliens, and you actually go around. A huge part of the game is going around and finding these alien pillars that will teach you the language, because when you have an interaction with the aliens, you basically don't understand anything, and that's why I'm talking about you have to read what's going on, and it describes a situation to you, and you have to figure out what's going on. But you can actually start to learn more and more words for these alien languages, and presumably once you learn more words, like, it'll actually exchange the gibberish essentially with words you've actually learned, so you can figure out exactly what they're saying in the future. And they aren't just randomly in these planets either. They run space stations. You'll have interaction with aliens. There's all of these really interesting interactions with these intelligent aliens to give you loot, to do all of this different stuff. So that is a really cool part of the game in terms of getting loot, because getting loot is also part of the game. I was surprised by actually going out and, again, getting new blasters, seeing new blasters I could buy off walls in these, alien outposts and stuff. That was pretty cool. I didn't necessarily expect that. In fact, I honestly kind of just expected one blaster, and then you can mod it, but there's different types of blasters, and you can mod them. Like, you can add grenade launchers and plasma launchers, and then you can, add a blaster and then change that blaster's cone. I got very recently, just before I kind of got off the game, I got a new mod for my blaster that made the cone spread out, kind of made it like a shotgun, I think. So that's really cool. Like, I'm still going out and discovering these new mods for my blaster. And the same thing is with a backpack. I randomly landed near this pod, and I went to explore this pod, and it gave me a backpack upgrade, which gave me a new inventory slot. So that's really cool too. Like, you're going out, you're kind of looting, you're getting new, there's multiple ships too. You don't just have your one ship. I think as a pre-order bonus, I got a different ship, so you can get all of these different ships, and you'll see them randomly fly by and come in space stations and stuff. Some of them look so cool, so I can't wait to get different ships in the game. Now, all of that sounds really positive, and it is. My first impressions with the game have been overwhelmingly positive. I'm very much look forward to playing and streaming this the next day, and there's just so much to do. It blows my mind. However, the few massive negatives I would say with this game, they aren't game breaking or anything, but definitely the things that really stood out to me is, firstly, nothing is really explained very well. Which, I mean, I guess that's what I'm here for, making tutorial vids and stuff, but it's very hard to understand what the hell is going on. There really needs to be some sort of like a help button, like what does this item do, what is it for type of thing. At repairing the ship, you really need to kind of go into your inventory and be like, oh yeah, I need to make this and it requires this, and then it isn't very clear also where you're supposed to go and what you're supposed to do. So there's not much direction or help with this game, and that's kind of, some people could look at that as not necessarily as much of a negative, because it really makes you go out and find your own path and explore for yourself, which is kind of a cool aspect of the game, I guess. It's not holding your hand, you have to actually go out and do it yourself, but I still would like a little bit more direction and a little bit more like help. Just a button to press, if I'm looking at an object, a button to press, like a what is this button, and it explains what that object does. That would be extremely helpful in the game. Secondly, my other concern with the game is that crafting, again, as I've mentioned earlier, is such a huge part of the game. It's such a huge part of the game to go out and get all these different items, and you need a bunch of different resources just to operate the very basic functions of your ship. You need a certain resource to activate the launcher of your ship to get off the ground once you land. You need a different resource to activate the normal engine for your ship to kind of go from planet to planet. And then you need like a different resource to make your scanner, a different resource for your blaster, to charge your blaster, to charge your life support. You need all these different resources, but the problem is that you don't have very much resources in your inventory. Now, you can actually transfer stuff from your inventory to the spaceship, and that's very helpful, and you're going to do that a lot, but your spaceship will even start to fill up. So that is kind of annoying. Like, it sets you out and says, hey, gather all these resources, find all this cool stuff, but your inventory space is so limited that you're trying to find these cool things. You'll find artifacts and objects and, charms and daggers and helmets and cool stuff to sell or to utilize or whatever when you're exploring the galaxy, but you'll never have bloody room for it because your inventories are always full. And that's just kind of annoying. Again, I found very recently an upgrade to my backpack, so I have an extra inventory slot, which is presumably, as I progress through the game, this little naggle of mine, this annoyance will lessen as I get more inventory slots. But again, right off the bat, there's such a huge stress on gathering all these materials that I think that your inventory is too small for that, and that's kind of just a little bit of annoyance. However, and I have to say that because I'm just being honest with you guys, I can't just say all the positives and completely ignore the negatives. That's not being real. So I'm trying to keep it real with you guys and give you guys kind of what I thought in my first impressions. So in a whole, this game really looks like it is living up to what it had promised and the hype in terms of being a proper space exploration game. I was very, very happy and surprised by how much diversity there was within the different planets I have visited and how much there was to do within those planets. We'll have to see, of course, if these first impressions carry into the future, if after hours and hours with this game it's going to be the same thing, but first impressions, it does look promising. That is going to be it for the video. Really hope you guys enjoy. If you want to see more No Man's Sky content, let me know in the comment section. I'm not exactly sure like what content to make for this game because it's a very different sort of game. So let me know in the comment section what kind of content you'd like to see from No Man's Sky. I definitely enjoy the game, so I plan on doing more content in the future. If you want to see that, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Now, if you want to get in touch with me and keep up to date with the latest channel activity, the best way is to follow me on Twitter. That's linked in the description down below, as is my Twitch channel. And again, I plan on streaming No Man's Sky later in the next few days. That is also linked in the description of this video, so definitely check that out as well. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, have a good day. Now, the Cryptarch is just such a huge part of Destiny. He is so associated with the game, both in the positive, like when he gave you your first exotic out of a legendary engram, and the negative, like when he gave you blues out of your other 100 legendary engrams. But either way, he is just so strongly a part of Destiny, and that's why it's kind of sad to see him so heavily fallen from grace, become so essentially useless within the current state of the game.